Your client is guilty of child abuse. Wait, I'm supposed to be the prosecutor, aren't I? Don't change the subject. Fine. Do you have any evidence?
Take that!
Make it stop!
Oh, Spike, how could you ever know what it's like to be totally obsessed with a pony, only to find out they're obsessed with some pony else?
Need I remind the court that this is supposed to be a baby dragon? At the very least, he's a kid by anyone's standards, yet in multiple instances, the defendant has intentionally caused this little guy bodily harm for no reason other than their own twisted sense of humor. Hold it! Need I remind you that this character isn't real? He's real to me! Wait, what the hey am I doing here? Greetings and welcome, bronies and random YouTubers. My name is Shadowfire, the Demon Pony of Darkness. I'm here to give you my opinion/review of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, Season 5, Episode 10, Princess Spike. Remember how I said that we rarely ever get a good Spike episode? You do? Well, this episode is no exception. It starts out fine, but it turns into the writers just beating on them again. I mean, seriously, why the hey are the streets of Canterlot decorated in dragon sneeze trees? Of all things, why that? I don't personally think that they go well in Canterlot aesthetically speaking, and furthermore, lining the streets of your city with plants that will agitate a dragon into sneezing fire seems like an extremely dumb move. Even if dragons aren't exactly regular frequenters of Canterlot, why take the chance? Oh wait. I know exactly why they're there! These incredibly improbable plants were placed here for the sole purpose of tormenting poor Spike, bringing about the inevitable suffering that this will cause in the name of a sad excuse for comedy. Well, you know what? Boo! Boo! This could have been a good episode given the premise. Spike could have brought every pony together in the spirit of unity and all that good stuff, and every pony else could learn a lesson from him. Given episodes like Lesson 0 and Inspiration Manifestation, we see that he has qualities that could make him a moral pillar in an episode. Unfortunately, most of the episode where he is the focus shows that being the source of conflict himself is also the norm. But take a look at this episode and tell me that Spike is the one at fault here. Go on! I dare you! Here's the biggest problem of this episode. Every pony fails! Not even that. The biggest problem is that every pony fails, and yet it's Spike who is singled out as the only one at fault. First off, how do you function? This episode basically shows that no pony there is an official delegate can even wipe their noses without some pony telling them that that's what they need to do. And apparently, the trivial things like a friend taking your seat must be dealt with by no less than royalty, because no pony else is qualified for such a momentous occurrence of decision making. If these are the morons who have been chosen to represent their respective places in Equestria, I fear for this country and all who live in it. Next, let's move on to the princesses. All of them. That's right, not even Best Sleepy Pancake Princess gets out of this one. Celestia and Luna, where art thou? Twilight was put in charge of organizing the event, but you should still be there to help handle things when unforeseen issues come up. This is a major political gathering, in your castle no less. Oh, and pay close attention throughout the entire episode, and you'll see that there isn't a single royal guard to be found anywhere. The fudge? Twilight! You planned and organized the summit, yet failed to delegate a chain of authority or have any staff at all? In large events such as this, every little problem doesn't automatically get brought to the head organizer of the event. There's a system of individuals who handle any issues that come up unless it's bigger than what they can handle. And then they ask the next person up on the chain of command. I don't see this anywhere here. Every pony just brings their problems to Twilight, who needs to not be disturbed. And that should be made known. And somebody should be taking Twilight's place. Perhaps Cadence. But no. And speaking of Cadence, Princess Miamore Cadenza, I've got a bone to pick with you, little lady. Oh, sure, you start out fine. Twilight has worked herself silly and needs to rest. Not unexpected for her. Spike, please make sure she gets that rest. It was fine, save for hitting him in the face with a door, which is more the fault of cruel fate and the writers not seeming to get enough of that joke. But what do you do after that? Well, I would assume that while Spike is making sure that Twilight got her rest, you'd be filling in for her like a responsible princess and friend would. Right? Yeah, nope. Everything that Twilight still needed to get done was put on hold until she woke up. The Pink Pony Princess didn't fill in for her. Then she criticized Spike when he tried. Here's a thought. Twilight probably could have slept just fine the night before and not needed this little nap if even one of the other 3 princesses were there to lend a helping hoof these past 3 days. No? And does any pony else notice that Spike may have been overstepping his bounds, but didn't abuse any of the power in Twilight's name until Cadence accused him of it? You put it in his head. You're the reason his good intentions went away. Say what you want about Spike at your service. It's pretty bad. But at least he at all times had good intentions when trying to help. He had that here as well, right up until Cadence doubted him for no reason. Well, if you're so darn concerned, why don't you take the list from him and handle things? What, you've got enough time to criticize and implant reverse psychological ill intent, but you can't be bothered to help until it's too late? Nuts to you! And now we get to Spike. I've seen a lot of jokes about how Spike could have just found earplugs for Twilight and everything would have been fine, but that's like bringing up the Eagles in Lord of the Rings. It's neither here nor there. Spike starts off doing exactly what Cadence asked of him, as one would expect from the #1 faithful assistant. When the bird happens. Now that bird is a total jerk for one until he realizes that he's disturbing a princess. And then the polo game happens, okay. Then chainsaws on dragon sneeze trees and jackhammers on cracked water mains. I'm not going to go back to the dragon sneeze trees, but the chainsaw is another thing. Cutting down a tree requires a chainsaw or an axe. Taking down very large limbs might require a chainsaw, but mostly just a pruning saw. Trust me, I do this stuff. But simply pruning a tree only needs a pair of quiet loppers. Not only that, but it's on a city street. A chainsaw would only make more of a mess. There's no reason. It's not only overkill, it's messy. And that is completely not Canterlot. And the jackhammer on cracked water main. Okay, so it's not really the jackhammer that's the problem. You need one to break through concrete, otherwise you need a sledgehammer. Either way, it's noisy. But you need to fix the main, but can't do it for a few hours. Okay, let me just leave the pressurized pipe completely exposed. You know that you can shut the main off to get rid of the pressure, right? In fact, with a cracked main and you using a jackhammer right next to it, that's exactly what you should have done from the beginning. This should not have been a problem. But it was a problem. In fact, everything that Spike had good intentions with in this episode came back to bite him. Nothing, and I repeat for emphasis, nothing he did when abusing Twilight's name did anything negative at all. So what's the message supposed to be here? Don't ever do more than you're told? That going above and beyond the Call of Duty is wrong? You know, I wouldn't have minded much of the issues with this episode if Spike actually got his just desserts for what he did when abusing Twilight's power. But that it was everything he did with the right intent came back to bite him. Everything wrong with this episode irritates me even more than it would have. And I feel bad for ragging on it so much because I like Spike. I hate most of the episodes surrounding him, but I like Spike. He's a good character with a lot of moments that are really standout-ish and just exemplary, but they never take advantage of that. They never give him good episodes. I shouldn't say never, there's a couple of really good ones, but because those couple of really good ones exist, you think that they could do a better job with him than this. What was even the point of this episode, aside from showing that Twilight isn't just Best Sleepy Pancake Horse, but is also Best Sleepy Book Horse, as if we didn't already know that? Oh, I know! This episode was meant to show that the writers still don't quite know how to use Spike in the show. Don't get me wrong, sometimes they get it so right, but most of the times, they just beat on him like a little punching bag and show that he's not just the snarky, observant, responsible kid brother character to our main protagonist, but also that he's an immature little kid who takes greed and power too far sometimes, and for some reason deserves to be made the unfortunate butt end of cruel, sadistic jokes about the misfortunes and physical abuse of a little boy who is oftentimes just trying to do his best. And at the end, Spike talks about how everyone was in the spirit of unity but him. And that's just not true! Spike isn't the only thing wrong with this episode. In fact, he's hardly in the wrong at all in the overall scheme of what happened. I'm sad to say, but this episode feels like a D to me. I hope to see y'all next time when I review Party Pooped. I certainly feel party pooped. Until then, have fun, but not at this poor little guy's expense, please. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, even if it wasn't my most positive review. I was on an Ace Attorney kick, so that was the opening joke as well as the background music in the video, list in the description. If you're new to the channel, then you should check out some of my older videos, like and subscribe, but only if you want to. To those who care, an announcement video will be coming out soon, for a few things. Good stuff mostly, like for instance, the changing of the channel name and my new opening. So keep an eye out for that and have a good day, or night, depending on when you see this. Bye!